Welcome back, everybody. I'm joined today by Richard Forrest. Richard Forrest is the chairman of Forrest Contact. Since 1991, Richard has managed and coached sales teams around the world. In 2006, Richard started Forrest Contact, which used to be called Forrest Marketing Group, to provide B2B sales outreach and lead generation to Australian businesses. Forrest Contact has grown into one of Australia's leading call centres, specialising in outbound lead generation, telesales, customer service and BPO services. Richard's also a founder of Forrest Contact's sister company, Air Marketing, in the UK. His approach to sales prospecting forms the basis of Forrest Contact's success and sees Forrest Contact generating millions of dollars of new business for their clients each year. It is also the basis for his book, The Ultimate Guide to B2B Sales Prospecting, which details his 4-step process for successful B2B lead generation and how this uncovers a large pool of sales prospects who are typically untapped by most companies. Welcome, Richard.
Hi, Ingrid. It's lovely to see you again. It's been so long.
Yeah, it's been way too long. And I just thought I'd start a podcast just so that we could get together.
It sounds great to me.
Now, Richard, we were competitors in a lifetime ago, and one of the things that I absolutely know about your approach is that it's sound and that it works. It works consistently, and it stood the test of time. Now, Forrest Contact really focuses on the front end of the sales process. Now, many people call this lead generation, but it's just so much more than that. Can you talk to us about the value that your service provides to your clients?
Yes, thanks, Ing. It's easy to say that lead generation as we do it is simple and you just hire somebody and throw them on the phones. And a lot of people will understand that I hope most people will understand that's really not the case. But I don't know whether they really think through or understand exactly what goes on behind. So the service that we provide, it targets likely businesses to be a good fit for our clients. And then through what we call the power of conversation, we engage with the relevant decision makers in those companies in a conversation. It's not an email, it's not digital, it's a two-way conversation. I'm really at pains to point out that it's not that I will talk until I run out of breath and then maybe you'll get a word in edgeways type of call. It's very consultative. It's all about asking questions and giving the prospect time to talk and work out whether actually what we're talking about makes any sense for them. So what we do is we tap into a market that our clients typically don't see. They're reliant on digital leads primarily, or referrals or network leads. But what we are able to do is to dig into the companies who are looking for a solution to a problem that our client can fix. But that company, that prospect company, may not be looking yet, may not know that our client's company exists and can fix the problem. So what we're doing is we're engaging and finding a big pool of prospects who will engage with our client and they can put them into their sales funnel. So we bring them on through the conversation. We nurture them. There's a lot of people we talk to whose answer to our first call is typically interested, but not right now. And those, it could be budget constraints, it could be headcount constraints, whatever it is. But those are great opportunities, but they're not the opportunities our clients are looking for. So that nurture pipeline is really important too. So we're bringing initial prospects who are qualified according to our clients' needs, as well as longer term prospects for nurturing by them and by our team into the pipeline. And we're supporting all of that. This goes back to my earlier comment about the flippant, it's just throw somebody on the phone. But there's a whole ecosystem that goes around what we do, from recruitment and HR through to call center management, coaching and training, quality assurance, all of those things that we provide, and then refining the strategy and looking at the data and the analytics to see how do we improve the results that we're getting. All of that gets brought to bear to make sure we're getting good results. So we're never going to be the only answer to a client's sales funnel issues if they've got low volume of leads, but we are another strategy that really adds not the same leads as they're getting from other areas, but a whole pool of different leads into the mix. And I suppose the stat that makes the most sense for me is that if we had somebody working 20 hours a week for a year, they would have 5,000, roughly speaking, 5,000 conversations with business decision makers in that year. So if only 10% of those people said, actually, I'm interested in what you're talking about, that's 500 new business leads for any business in a year from what we do. And I think it may not be as big as people see the number of visitors coming to the website, but these are people we've had a conversation with and qualified, and it's a different dynamic.
I mean, even just listening to those numbers, any business listening to this conversation right now would be like, right, what's his number? I need to call him, because I think that it's almost like the lost art, and what you're describing is, a genuine conversations that people are trained to have because of your whole process. I referred in the introduction to a 4-step process. Do you want to just talk us through that and how that kind of came to be?
So it came really about from doing what we've been doing for so long. So the 4 steps are understanding your market and working out who the people you need to be talking to. Any company who thinks that anybody is a client for them is fooling themselves, because whilst anybody may be an opportunity for you, the really good prospects fit in a specific definition. So sure, you could win a sale that brings in $100, but that's actually not what you really want in most cases. You're looking for much bigger sales, therefore much bigger clients. Either they've got more staff, etc., in certain industries. So defining your target market is one of the steps. Second one is constructing the conversation that you're going to have with the prospect. And as I alluded to earlier, it's not about just talking at people. It's all about being honest and saying, hey, this is who I am. This is what we do as a company. I really don't know if this makes sense for you right now. Can I ask you a couple of quick questions? Then getting into some really good discovery questions. And that's the next part, is understanding the really important discovery questions to ask as you go through that. And then qualify the lead, because whilst they might say all the right things, if you're looking for a company that, let's say you sell fleet management software, and a good lead for you is a company that has 40 vehicles in their fleet. They might be saying all the right things, but we would ask them, how many vehicles do you have in your fleet? And they might say 15. Go, okay, it's not a good lead. Qualify them out, because it's not what our client is looking for. And then the final part is what I talked about earlier, which is the nurturing of the prospects and making sure, having had that initial conversation and they're interested, make sure you stay in touch with them. There are the number of people that we win as clients, as a company, who've come from outbound lead generation that we've done over the years, and maybe I spoke to them back in 2017-18 and they come on board, is amazing. And so it's just important not to let those leads slip. There's something we can do, but I also think digital plays a good part in that too.
I really appreciate that you said that, because even just yesterday or the day before, I was doing a tracking session with one of my clients, and we were talking about what led to success. What are some of the success factors for this quarter, given that it was the end of September on Monday. And what this salesperson said was that a lot of the opportunities that she's been able to win in that quarter actually started, a year ago. And I think that that's part of the issue that we face as companies now with sales teams that want those quick wins, that don't necessarily have a longer term nurturing strategy around that. And to hear that that's part of the value that you bring is incredibly encouraging.
I think I would just reiterate, actually, you hit on something there, which is sometimes we get companies who come to us and think that we can wave a magic wand and fix things and do things 10 times better than their people can. What we bring is consistency. There's a system and consistency. And it's not about doing some lead gen calls today and then again maybe next week. It's about every single day, every single week, every single month, and bringing that consistency. But we may find people who are looking to buy right now. Chances are we're going to find people who go, you know what, I've got that problem. It has been annoying me for a while. I want to meet with these people. They typically engage with our client without involving any of the competitors, but it may take them 9 months before they're ready to buy. They've got to get the budget sorted. It's a longer lead time. And I think that's really important to remember, is that whether you're doing this in-house or externally, having the right expectations on what can be delivered for you.
Absolutely. I don't think that there is any silver bullet when it comes to effective selling today. And, you know, again, I totally agree with you. I think that there's so much value that you bring, and any business that's ever done this themselves will then also understand that it absolutely is the consistency, but it's all of the expertise that you bring. You bring multiple people that you have the capacity to swap in and out, you know, if you need that flexibility. You've got people that are listening to calls, monitoring calls, coaching people on those calls. You've got the expertise that sits behind the process that does construct that conversation. And because you're looking at it from an external perspective, you're able to see, you know, how, I think, more objectively, how a prospect is going to resonate with the company. You don't come with all of the, you know, those blind spots that when it's your company or when you work for the company that you might come with. And the other thing that I really appreciated here was the qualifying of people in and out, because again, you know, and I remember the days when when I was doing, you know, in that space, you know, we would have to say to our clients, you know, please, you know, we're not going to, you know, set you up with an appointment where the prospect's going to have their money out, or in those days, checkbook out. It's going to take time, and it's really up to your salespeople to then take it from there. But the significant amounts of time that you're going to save those people by not going to the wrong opportunities is incredibly valuable, because their time today is better directed in the right directions, and you're able to ascertain that. So by the time they get to one of your appointments, they've got a really good opportunity, if they're good salespeople, to really continue that conversation on.
I think, yes, you're absolutely right. And one of the things you said there is if they're good salespeople. And I don't mean that in the sense that they're good or bad. What I do mean is that they understand that the type of conversation you have with somebody who's a brand new prospect, who's come from the web, who says, I'm looking to buy this service, can you sell it to me, is very different to somebody who has been called, had a qualification call, and is a prospect. You go in and say, hi, I'm here to talk to you about what you want, so tell me what you want to buy. They may not say it, but what they'll be thinking at least is, I don't know, you called me, what are you going to talk about? So you have to approach those calls very differently. And so the right salespeople, when they go to those calls, are going to continue that discovery call that was held on the initial prospecting call. Okay, what are your needs? What are you looking for? What are you using right now? Those sorts of things to build a professional awareness, so that the prospect is going, this person, boy or girl, really knows what they're talking about, and I trust them, and therefore I will buy from them. It just might take me some time.
Yeah, and absolutely, it might take some time. Before I move on to my next question, I just want to also just pull apart that consistency message, because some people might miss what I know is part of the secret sauce here. And you mention it and you highlighted it, and it needs to be highlighted again, and I'm going to underline it. But that consistency, why is that really important for a business to remember when it comes to just having that machine almost just humming away in the background, feeding its sales team really beautifully nurtured, warmer, not warm, but warmer opportunities?
Great question. You touched on it partly, the answer to this partly earlier, which is that if you're not in the market, you're not going to get leads. And the thing about it is there's too many. When it's your company or your product, if you're the salesperson, you have to go and make prospecting calls. There are too many things going through your mind. You look at the list of people to call and you go, ABC company, they probably won't buy it, I won't call them. Or it's a Friday, people won't be in their offices on Friday, or it's Christmas and January, people won't want to talk to me right now, it's the wrong time. All of those are valid, and in some industries they're very important. But if we were to, I could tell you when we get our highest contact rates, days of the week and times of the day. And some of our clients say, well, why don't you just make the calls then? Then for me, they're missing the point, which is the person that we get at 5 o'clock on a Friday who wants to talk to us is the person nobody else gets hold of, because they all go, Friday afternoons is a bad time. So the consistency is all about being there every single day, every single week, every single month. You've probably heard me bang on about this before, but the thing about January is a bad time to be calling, it's not. There are a lot of people who are away, but it's not like you go to Sydney, Melbourne and go, wow, there's spinifex blowing down the street, it's deserted. People are working, and the people who are there are usually thinking strategically about the year ahead, and it's quiet and they'll take the calls. It's actually one of the best times to be calling. So is Friday afternoon. You may not get as many conversations, but you still get good prospects at that time. And that's really the power of consistency, is all the time. And not going, I'll do an hour today and an hour tomorrow, because the people you really need to speak to won't be there. And the other thing is, whilst we might make 20 phone calls an hour, we may only speak to 5 people in an hour. So you do an hour and you might speak to 5 people in that hour. It might only be 3, and that's not a good use of time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's why you need to have that consistency. It's just so important. And that's built into your process. So, yeah. Now, Richard, we're in a down market at the moment. The number of people that have kept calling it a down market, it's a tight market, it's a down market, tells me that people are starting to, a little bit of concern might be creeping into people's certainty about what's going to come into their sales pipeline, how much revenue they should be planning for, etc. What are you finding are the prospecting messages that companies should be communicating to those in this type of market that they'd like to cultivate as clients?
Look, I actually don't think it changes from good market to bad market. I think the players in the market change. So you'll have, broadly speaking, 3 types of company. You'll have those who look at it and go, it's a tight market, I'm not going to do anything, I'm not spending any money on sales. And of course, they will continue to get what they're getting from their inbound sales cycle. And if that's starting to drop off because people are going, tightening the belt, then they will go backwards. Then you've got the people who will say, I will do something about this, and they will go and they'll do some sales prospecting, and they'll ramp up their marketing or lead generation, let's say, marketing too, efforts. And then I think you get the people who really see it and they go, this is a huge opportunity for us, because some of our competitors are going to go, I'm not going to do anything, so they're going to drop out of the market. They won't be getting as many leads, and these companies look ahead and go, if I work hard now, firstly, I'm going to be adding more prospects to my funnel for today. But beyond that, when they come to buy in 3 or 6 months' time, I'm going to have a much bigger funnel. So if the market turns around in 6 months and starts to be more positive, those companies who they've been talking to are not going to be going, well, let's just go out and see who's there. They're going to go, as you said, going to go straight to those companies. And so I think it's the message that I would be hesitant to go to the market with right now is with a discount strategy. Now, I'm talking B2B here, not necessarily B2C, so there are differences. But I don't think that B2B, the message in a down market is about desperation and cutting prices. There are times for doing that and strategy for doing that, and there may be some very good ones. But as a broad brushstroke, I'd be saying, don't redouble your efforts and go after prospects. It's rather like the Christmas thing. There are always people who have a problem that your company and your products and solution can solve. There are always people who are looking to buy. You may have to work harder to find them, but they're out there. And if you just sit back, your competitors will get them, but you certainly won't. Whereas if you take the opposite approach and go, actually, I'm going to dive in, I'm going to put 2 people in the office onto prospecting calls for the next 6 months, you'd be amazed at the opportunities that will pop up from doing that. So
it's really interesting.
Sorry,
No. I love what you've just said. Yeah.
I don't think I answered your question. You were saying, what's the message to the market? Actually, my message is to the companies rather than to the market. I think the message stays the same, but there is, to be fair, there would be answers around. Look, I'm not thinking about doing this for the next 6 to 12 months, which you might want to delve into more with more questions to find out, is that just a knee-jerk response, or have they really got an issue that we could solve for them now, which would make sense? And sorry, my last point on this is the cost of sale to the client, to the prospect that they're talking to, is only part of the equation. The other part is the return on investment. So if I'm going to invest 100 grand with you today, but I can get 200 grand's worth of return on investment in the first 12 months, it makes sense to do it now, even though it may cost me 100 grand, if you see what I mean. So I think the opportunities are still very much there.
Well, I agree with you, and what I'm seeing in the market, and I love how you just went straight into that, what I wouldn't be doing and what I wouldn't be saying is, anything about discounts.